'Tis the season!
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken, and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about the most stylish flank in Paladins, and that is, of course, the wonderful Mr. Vatu, who has, well, some of the best skins in the game, quite frankly. That gold skin is something else, and he's got Mayhem too. It's absolutely ridiculous, but the reason we're talking about Vatu isn't to gush all over his fantastic S-tier skins. It's actually to talk about his S-tier gameplay, because Vatu is, well, considered to be the strongest flank in the game on keyboard and mouse when you are at the higher ranks, you know, Diamond, Masters, Grandmasters. If you look at his win rate, it actually bears out. He is the second highest win rate flank in the game right now. The only one who's higher than him is Skye, but that's because she's a controller flank. Vatu is thus the highest win rate keyboard and mouse flank. So Vatu is crazy, crazy strong when you're actually good at him. But he has yet to receive a proper nerf in I don't even know how long. It's been like months and months and months, and he hasn't really been changed. And today, I want to talk about why that might be the case. I want to talk about what makes Vatu so strong, and why Evil Mojo might, even though he is really strong in the right hands, be hesitant to nerf Vatu in his current state. Because, yeah, he's quite an interesting and, well, frankly, a little bit controversial character, and there's a lot to discuss, so let's get started. So first of all, let's talk about what makes Vatu so strong in the first place. Vatu has one of the best kits you could possibly ask for when it comes to a flank. He's got the second most mobility in the game after 7, but his mobility is a lot more refined for tactical dodging rather than just pure traversal, which is what 7's all about. So one could argue that he actually thus has the best mobility in the game for actually surviving engagements and picking his fights. His ambush ability lets him teleport directly to whoever he wants as long as they're in range, and his dashes are very good for evasion. On top of that, he's got excellent survivability in the form of his cards. Even though he has one of the lowest health pools in the game, he makes up for it with heavy amounts of damage reduction and self-sustain, and it has really good uptime when you also pair that with his best talent, Enveloping Shadows, which this talent gives him cooldown reduction on all of his abilities as long as he just hits a shot, which is really easy to do. Well, it's kind of easy to do. Vatu does have one of the harder weapons to use in the game because it's a 3-round projectile with, you know, fall off and an arc and stuff like that, but you can at least hit one kunai pretty consistently, and so it's really good cooldown reduction. And he also has a really fantastic burst combo where you hit one set of kunai, hit a set of shadow bombs, and then hit a second set of kunai, and that'll evaporate most characters unless they have a lot of Haven. And if they do have a lot of Haven, you just usually need one extra shot to finish them off, and so it's still really, really fast. And the same can be said for his ultimate, which has really good uptime, and also has its own burst combo, where you shoot a set of kunai, use the ultimate, burst through them, stun them, and then hit another set of kunai. And you can even combo that with the Shadow Bombs and do absolute massive amounts of damage. So he's got great burst, he's got excellent, almost unmatched mobility, and he's got pretty good survivability. The only thing that Vatu is lacking is range, but that's fine because the whole point of Vatu is that you're supposed to get in close. His kit is designed to make him get close, and it just works out really well. Even, you know, if he picks a bad fight and, you know, accidentally ambushes somewhere where he doesn't want to be, he has an ability to get out. He has really good ability to choose his fights and basically get in, get a kill, get out, or get in, realize he made a mistake, get out, and live to tell the tale, where many other flanks, such as Buck, for example, would not be able to do that. So, Vatu is absolutely incredible, but all of this strength comes at a cost. You have to invest a lot of time into getting good at this guy. He is one of the hardest flanks and one of the hardest characters in Paladins. He's not quite the hardest, I think that title still goes to Eevee, but he is up there, maybe the second hardest flank or the third hardest flank. He is really, really tough to play. And that bears out in the win rates as well. If you take a peek at some of the lower the lower wanks, yes. No, the lower rank win rates, he gets significantly worse. And then if you look at casuals, it gets even worse. And he actually has one of the worst win rates in the game if you look at casuals. And that's because if you're bad at Vatu, then he's actually going to end up doing a lot worse than comparable flanks like Xin, who are a lot easier to play and get a lot more value for a lot less effort. So Vatu is one of those characters who his strength really depends on his skill. And that's where we get into why I think Evil Mojo has been hesitant to nerf this character. Because, well, if only a few people can really push Vatu to his maximum potential, then they should be rewarded with a powerful character. And that is a very good design philosophy. You want to reward players for skill. It's the same concept for Mave, Eevee, etc. All of the flanks with a very high skill ceiling. But people still generally agree at high elo that, yeah, Vatu is still pretty darn crazy. He's the best flank on keyboard and mouse, and so maybe something should be done about that. But yeah, I mean, when Evil Mojo looks at Vatu, they see, oh, okay, so maybe, like, less than 1% of the player base is actually able to really get the max value out of this guy, and the rest of the player base kind of sucks at playing him, and for the rest of the player base, his win rate is, I mean, it's fine, bad in some cases, good-ish in other cases, but it's not anything to really worry about. And then, when you look at some other flanks that are much more dramatic, and have much more going on to really annoy players, like 7, for example, you start to see why Evil Mojo has kind of put Vatu on the back burner for a little bit. And they're like, oh, okay, we just have much bigger fish to fry. We've got to just burn 7 and put him into the ground because people can't stand this flank that we've designed. And Vatu, I feel, at least personally, is not really the most annoying flank to go up against. Just due to really the nature of his kit, I like, you know, the dashes. They're very plentiful, and he's got a lot of mobility. He can be very hard to track, but at least they're, reasonable. And then, he has really bad range, so he has to get close to me to actually do anything, and I at least can appreciate that. But, I guess let me know in the comment section how annoying you find Vatu to be when he's good, because, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen nearly the same outcry for Vatu as I have for 7, or even some other characters like Eevee, for example. Even if Eevee is, slightly less strong than Vatu, if you're looking at how far you can push the characters, a lot more people, I feel, complain about Eevee. That might be bias on my part because I get a lot of comments about Eevee because I'm an Eevee main, but yeah, just let me know about that in the comment section down below. So, we've established why Vatu is really, really good. We've established why Evil Mojo is hesitant to nerf Vatu, or at least why I think they're hesitant to nerf Vatu. But what should actually be done about this character? I mean, should he be nerfed, considering his status in the vast majority of matches as, well, kind of a meh flank, someone who isn't really played a lot and who has kind of an alright win rate? Or should he be nerfed because of those 1% of players at Masters and Diamond who can play him really, really well and push him to being the best flank on PC? Well, I do think that some slight changes could be done to bring his power level down, and there's also one change that I want to see, that I've been asking for basically since his release, that I'm going to elaborate on in this video, because, well, there's one thing that that's always annoyed me about Vatu when it comes to actually playing Vatu. So I do think some nerfs could be in order. And the most immediate thing that comes to my attention are his 2 DR cards, because he has 2 really good DR cards. One that gives him damage reduction after Shadow Bombs, and one that gives him damage reduction after Ambush. These have pretty good uptime because of the cooldown talent, and they scale really well. They give you lots of damage reduction. I run them at level 4, and both of them give me over 20%. So I think the first thing that could be hit about Vatu is to scale those cards down to maybe a maximum of 20% on both at level 5. That would be where I would start, because those cards are really freaking good. They're part of the trifecta of cards, the other one being the healing on dash card, which I don't really think that one's as much of a concern, considering how Cauterize impacts the game. I don't think we really need to worry about that. But that's one thing you could look at. Another thing you could look at is maybe a slight nerf on Enveloping Shadows. You could maybe take it from 10% to 8% or something like that. Just a slight nerf to reduce the amount of uptime that he has on his abilities and force him to maybe put a little tiny bit more thought into how frequently he's dashing and his positioning, etc. I don't think you need to hit him exceptionally hard. I think that would be absolutely silly, because he does have that skill requirement. You don't want to kill the effectiveness of the character, especially when, he's so restricted to begin with in terms of how many people actually even want to get good at this guy. So I think you would just start there, and if he's, for some reason still needs nerfs, then you could go even further. One last nerf I would like to suggest is completely get rid of the damage reduction on the dash. It's really just not sensible at all for Vatu to have that. It makes about as much sense as Eevee having damage reduction on her Soar, because, well, you dash, and the idea is you get survivability from the dash because you're dodging damage. But if the enemies are skilled enough to actually track you during the dash, they get rewarded with less damage. That just doesn't make sense. That's absolutely ridiculous. Like, if Eevee had damage reduction on Soar, she could be flying around at Mach 7, and if you hit a skillful shot on her with, like, Pip or something, you would do, like, less damage. That just, it absolutely makes no sense. So that should just be gone. It would be a nerf to Vatu. And, well, I mean, I don't think it would impact him that much, though, in the grand scheme of things. It would just force him to play a little bit more smartly, which, you know, is good. I like encouraging high-skill characters to be high-skill. You know, that's something I think is a good idea. But yeah, that would be basically what I would do to nerf Vatu in a sensible way. That's not too overbearing, and that just kind of hits the pain points where he's a little bit above average in terms of all the other flanks. I wouldn't do much else. I wouldn't touch his damage. He has to get in close to get any value out of his damage, and if you make the burst combo not work, then that's just going to feel terrible. Haven already exists. You can buy that to counteract it. I don't think that's an issue. You could maybe also, if you really wanted to hit him hard, nerf his ultimate charge rate a little bit, but I would just focus on the 3 things I listed there. Now for the thing I would actually buff about Vatu, and this is really, it's hardly even a buff, but it's just something that would make him feel so much better to play. Give him a reload animation cancel. If you don't know what that is, basically the idea is you can reload, and while you're in the middle of your reloading wheel, you know, while you're waiting for that to finish, you can use an ability, and that'll basically cancel the reload animation, but you'll still end up reloading. You'll get all of your ammo back. Many characters have this. Many flanks have this. As a matter of fact, Eevee has this. You can reload. About halfway through the reload, you can use Blink or Soar, and it'll just reload for you. You don't have to worry about it. Vatu doesn't have that. You can be over 70% of the way through the reload. You can dash, and it'll cancel the reload, and you won't get your ammo, which is just, it's dumb. It hinders what would otherwise be the most fluid flank in the game, because Vatu really is fluid. He feels amazing to play. But that one little thing just hampers him, and it's so annoying, and I wish they would change that. They've proven that it can be, you know, that is something that they're aware of, because they deliberately added it on Omen, and they made it really powerful on Omen. So why not add that for Vatu? You know, 50% of the way through the kunai reload, you can dash, and it'll just work. Please, Hi-Rez. It's been... how many years since Vatu's release? It's been like 2 years now? Just add that. It'd be such a small thing, but it would help so much. It would feel so good. And it wouldn't even really change that much about Vatu power-wise. It's just one of those quality of life things that I think would be really, really good. But yeah, that's going to about do it for today's video. So let me know your thoughts on Vatu down in the comment section down below. Do you agree with my ideas to nerf him, or do you think he's just fine? Do you think he needs buffs? I don't think he needs buffs. I think if you think he needs buffs, it's probably just a skill issue, to put it politely. But yeah, let me know just everything about your thoughts on Vatu in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload from me. And also make sure to check out the Discord server and the Twitch channel, both of which are linked in the About section down below. One last thing, if you want to support the channel and keep me doing what I'm doing full-time, then consider supporting me through a number of different means. You can buy crystals on the Nexus and support me in the process. You can join the memberships program linked below, or you can just directly donate through the donations link as well. So, many ways to support me. I would really appreciate it if you would check that out. And with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace out.